to Green's gardening class. My name is Ashley Young, and today I put together a lesson plan to learn how to plant and maintain a garden while going over all the great nutrients that we can find in our fruits and vegetables. Today's lesson would be great for children in elementary all the way up to middle school. As a future dietitian, I think it's extremely important to connect kids to their food and teach them about the health benefits that a lot of our fruits and vegetables have that are great for our bodies. Before we start, I want to go over some materials that we may need for our class today. For today's class, we're going to be needing a hand shovel to dig up all the dirt so we can plant our beautiful plants. We're also going to need a hand rake. This helps aerate the soil and till the soil. Also, a lot of times these are optional. People love gardening gloves to help obviously avoid getting your hands dirty. Additionally, for the maintenance part of the garden that we're going to go over, we need some hand shears. Also, we will need a watering can. And in today's class, we're going to be planting tomatoes, which are very fun, easy to maintain, easy to plant. Additionally, we're going to be planting some onions. The first part of planting is really to find a good clear section of soil and really start with clearing out the weeds and getting it prepped for planting. What I would suggest first is taking our hand rake and kind of loosening up the soil first. This makes it a lot easier when we start to dig out the soil for the plant. Also, this really helps with tilling the soil, mixing the nutrients around. Okay, so what we have here is we have what's called a Stella tomato. This is something that's very easy to plant and very easy to maintain. What I really love about planting also is that all of them come with these tabs that give us kind of a little tutorial on the reverse side of how to plant and maintain the tomato. So this tells us that we need full sunlight about up to 6 hours. Ideally, the spacing is 36 inches apart. So this gives us kind of a nice open space as we're gonna have a lot of growth with the tomato. The planting depth, ideally, we'd like to plant the plant up to 2/3 above the soil line. And lastly, this tomato is going to take about 70 to 75 days to mature, so we're not going to be harvesting for some time. So, to begin, let's take our hand shovel, now that we have loosened up our soil, and we typically want to dig out a hole, and that's about the same, a little bit larger circumference and a little bit deeper than this. What's really nice is because we already tilled the soil, it's pretty easy to dig in here and start getting the appropriate size hole for our tomato plant. And what I like to do too is if I'm not sure if my hole's big enough, what I'll usually do is you can kind of rest the tomato in there in advance. Now again, we did say that we want the soil line to be about 2/3 above the plant. So we might need to dig this out a little bit deeper. And again, making sure that our hole has enough circumference as well. By doing this, this allows for the roots to really expand and allows great growth. All right, so this looks to be about ready. Let's again test it out one more time. Now also, what I have done already in advance is I do like to water the potted plant first before putting it into the dugout hole. And this is because it really helps us loosen it up and get it out of its pot. So what I like to typically do here is we're going to be just kind of giving it a little squeeze and rotating it. Next, I like to put my hand on the bottom and just slightly push up, and the plant should come out no problem. So as you can see, We have all of the roots intact still. And a lot of times what's really nice too is if you just kind of give it a little break up just to help with the root growth. Okay, so it's still intact. We still have our roots a little broken up to help with growth. So what I like to do next is put it now down here in its hole. And we're gonna do something called backfilling. So this part, I kind of like to take my gloves off because I like to get my hands dirty. You can use your hand shovel or your hands. I prefer my hands. And what you like to do with the backfill is just slowly fill in around your tomato plant. And we just want to make sure that we have about 2/3 of the plant covered, as discussed earlier. Now, what I really like to do here, just to make sure that the plant also is able to maintain adequate water once we start watering it, is I do make a small ring like this around our plant, kind of like a little water reservoir. Now this soil has been prepared in advance with plant food and different types of nutrients. It's really important that you have compost and good healthy soil for your plants to get the adequate growth that they need. Plants do also need minerals just like us. So this has already been prepped for in advance. So now our Stella tomato is happy in his new home. We do immediately want to water. So just apply. I like to just try to do an even water around the circumference. And he's happy to go. All right, class. So the next thing we're gonna plant is a yellow onion. So what's great about this is that when you purchase it at a nursery, they actually come in a bundle of about 100 onions. And they're about this size, so very small and easy to maintain. They're really nice to garden with kids and really people of any age because again, they're very easy to plant and easy to maintain. Once they're planted, they're really no maintenance on these. Also, they do take about 90 days to mature. So once this green chive part actually turns yellow and what they call dies back, that's when you actually know that it's time to harvest your onion. So what we're gonna do is we have some existing onions here. So we're actually going to just plant this one here in the existing onion garden. So what's wonderful about this is I take my gloves off because this is really delicate because these are pretty small. The roots are extremely healthy on this onion, as you can see. So you actually just take your finger, your index finger, and you insert it into the soil. You can take even 2 fingers and kind of wiggle it around. Again, we want it to be pretty wide actually, and we want it to be planted about up to this white part right here. So we have just the green chive part sticking up. So you're just gonna insert the onion, keep the roots spread out right there into the dirt. And then again, we're just gonna do the same backfill technique. We're just going to kind of tuck it in there, make sure that the onion is standing up. All right. So these now need to be watered as well. So we're gonna take, again, our watering can and give the onion adequate water. Now we're here in a raised garden bed. I highly suggest planting your fruits and vegetables in a raised bed. This allows for great pest control. Any ground squirrels, rabbits, gophers, things like that are really deterred from this space. Additionally, when this garden bed was built, we had chicken wire put down on the bottom to help with pest control as well, so that no pests were able to come up through the bottom of it. Now, we have some other onions here that were planted a few weeks ago. So you can see kind of the beginning onion to more of a mature onion. And again, these will not be ready to harvest for about 90 days, and you'll know that they're ready to harvest when you have a yellow dieback. So next in the class, I want to discuss how to maintain our garden. Alright, so now we're going to be discussing the maintenance of tomato plants. So when we're talking about the tomato plant here, we really want to work on maintaining these lower branches. So what I'm talking about is we're actually going to be removing these lower limbs from the trunk of the plant. And this is really important because this helps us reduce pests. So it's just a natural way for pest control. So we're just going to take our shears and you're just going to cut actually right at the trunk and make a nice clean cut to eliminate these lower underlying branches. This also allows for better growth. This technique is actually called lollipopping. So we're just again gonna be going right here to the trunk and removing these lower branches. This is a great, easy, inexpensive way to maintain your plants. Additionally, when checking for pests during maintenance, it's very effective to just turn the leaves over and check. As you can see, we do actually have some pests here on the leaf of the plant, which is fine, but as you can tell, it's still a very, very healthy plant. So we just want to continue to remove these branches to again allow for growth and maintenance of this healthy tomato plant. Now tomatoes, we also want to talk about how nutritious they are for our bodies. Tomatoes are an excellent source of vitamin C. And as a lot of us know, vitamin C is a natural antioxidant. Antioxidants help kill free radicals, which a lot of times associated with cancer. Also, tomatoes are an excellent source of potassium, and potassium helps control blood pressure. So it's something that's fun and nutritious that we can all get involved with and make a connection to our food. So next, I wanted to discuss again the maintenance of a pepper plant. So again, pepper plants are excellent to garden because they're very easy to maintain and they have really easy growth. So again, what we're going to be doing is just lollipopping these lower branches to help with the pest control and growth maintenance of the plant. Again, it's also very important to make sure that you remove this fallen growth from around the plant, again, to avoid pests. Now, if we look really close here on this particular plant, we can actually see some really nice growth here. This is going to be budding into a flower, which is eventually going to be turning into this beautiful pepper. Peppers are also an excellent source of potassium. So in addition to blood pressure control, potassium also helps keeping our bones really strong. Additionally, peppers are an excellent source of vitamin E. Vitamin E is also an antioxidant to help kill free radicals. So next, we wanted to talk about onions. So onions, like we discussed, are great to plant because we really just kind of plant them and forget about them. So here we have a mature onion. This is actually the root system that you saw earlier. This is what it looks like once it's been harvested. So they actually, to harvest the onion, just literally cut this green part off, which you can see right here was removed, and then you have a beautiful edible onion. Onions are bulbs, so this whole entire bulb is growing underneath the soil right now. This is also an excellent natural pest deterrent for your garden. So pests don't like the smell of onions, so it really helps with underground pest control. So in addition to being delicious and nutritious, it's also great for our garden and helping maintain it. So with onions, they're also an excellent source of B6. B6 we really need in our bodies for red blood cell production. as well as B9. B9 helps support our cellular growth as well as our body's metabolism. So onions are something that a lot of kids don't love, but I think once they get in the garden and people are able to see the connection with their food, that it's something that they could really connect with. Next, we have some very delicious, yummy, yummy, yummy cilantro. So cilantro is an herb. Now this is naturally a pest deterrent. We like to plant all of our cilantro around the perimeter of the garden here so that it helps deter any pests from entering the garden. So again, with maintenance on the cilantro, you're going to be doing similar maintenance that we did before. We're gonna just be clearing out any undergrowth that's too excessive down here. And the beautiful thing is, all of this undergrowth that you just cut off is edible. You can literally have this tonight with your tacos. Love it. Cilantro is an excellent source of vitamin A, which is great for our eye health, and it's a great source of calcium, which is super important for our bone health. So next time you are out having your tacos, remember that cilantro is something that's really easy to grow, it's nutritious, and it's really delicious. So the next fruit I wanted to discuss today is the orange. We all love oranges, super delicious, full of vitamin C as well as folic acid. Folic acid helps with digestion as well as cellular growth and metabolism in the body. And we all know our famous vitamin C is great for the immune system, which we can all use right now. I wanted to go over maintaining our orange tree. So here with the orange tree, I do highly suggest wearing your gloves because, as you can see, it has really big thorns. So when maintaining the orange tree, you're really just going to use the lollipopping technique. This tree has been recently pruned, but you're really just going to reduce lower branches again from the ground and make sure that there's not too much growth in the middle of the tree, because that allows for more aeration to reduce issues with pests and mold. And next we're going to discuss the spaghetti squash. So this is a spaghetti squash that was planted a few weeks ago. And right now we want to do a little bit of maintenance on it. So what we're going to do is, as you can see, there's a little bit of decay right here that you can actually just remove by hand. And then we do also want to just clean up any dying leaves. Now this particular plant, we're really not going to be doing the lollipopping technique, and we're really not going to be over pruning it as well, because it is a little bit more sensitive. Now also, if you can see closely in here, we do have some new buds growing right here, and these are flower buds that are eventually going to be blossoming into very large, beautiful yellow flowers. And this particular plant is actually a more of a ground cover type of vine, and typically with spacing you need about 2 to 4 feet, because it does grow very large, and you will eventually produce, this is actually a spaghetti squash. So this is very, very rich in vitamin C, which is great for our immune system, as well as phosphorus. And phosphorus is actually excellent for DNA synthesis, as well as cellular repair and our teeth health. So overall, this is an excellent plant, very easy to maintain, pretty low maintenance, and it's a very nutritious treat to have in your garden. And last but not least, I wanted to go over some parsley. This is Italian parsley, which is excellent. Again, it's an herb, super delicious, great for pest control. It's very hardy, very durable, easy to maintain. So again, this one, because it's a lot smaller, it's just really easy. You can a lot of times just kind of grab it by the head there and then just cut back that excess undergrowth. You can see here we do have some of the growth dying off, which is fine because this just allows for healthier growth prior to harvesting. Now parsley, typically you're gonna harvest about 60 to 45 days. But what I usually like to do is, this is really for me an edible garden. So as I was saying, I maintain the plants. With the herbs, I really do enjoy eating them as well. So I don't typically throw away all these cuttings. I will just incorporate them in my meals with dinner or any delicious salad or anything that you want to eat. But also parsley is an excellent source of iron. Iron is great for our immune systems. So it's something that you don't really realize that you're deficient on iron until it's too late, when you're experiencing fatigue and things like that. So also, parsley is an excellent source of magnesium. And magnesium is something that's great for cardiovascular health, helping maintain our blood pressure as well as cholesterol. So just to overview, all of the maintenance that we need to be doing on our gardens, as we discussed, was to A, water. So we always want to make sure that new plants, as we said, are getting adequate water, as well as our plants that are mature and we're still waiting to harvest. I do suggest watering at least once daily, and making sure, if you have time, twice would be ideal, and making sure that you're really saturating the soil to make sure that each plant is getting ample water, especially during the hot seasons like summer. Also, I wanted to add in that different plants have different, really like sun preferences, we could say. Some plants want full sun, such as these eggplants, as well as the squash and zucchini. Whereas we have our tomatoes and our peppers that we discussed prefer only partial sun. And as we all know, sun and water is really what's going to keep our plants extremely healthy. I also wanted to talk about some maintenance when it comes to setting your garden up for the spring. So when prepping the garden for the spring, we always try to add fertilizer back into the existing soil as well as compost. And it's really important to be able to really mix the new soil with the old to make sure that the plants are getting adequate nutrients. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, we do have these large white looking rocks. This is actually what's called perlite, and this helps with aeration of the soil to make sure that the plants are getting adequate air as well, and to keep it really light and fluffy. So this dirt that you're seeing here is a mixture of soil as well as compost and perlite. Next, it's really important to also make sure that you're properly weeding your garden, and this you're just going to be doing every time you're watering, just really checking for any weeds. So we do have some here. So what you're gonna do is just literally pull those straight out by the roots. You wanna make sure you get the root out. Now what weeds do is they're actually stealing nutrients from the important plants, so those we wanna have removed. And you'll probably end up weeding at least once a week to make sure that your garden is all clean. And what I really love about gardening is that you can do it year round. So everything you've seen here really thrives in the spring, but there's also a lot more that you can add in when the summer months start, such as pumpkins, more squash, more zucchini, and things like that that can be harvested in the fall. Also, during the colder fall and winter months, it's a great time to plant your lettuce, your kale, spinach, and all your leafy greens. They really thrive in that colder weather, and a lot of times you have rain that will be able to naturally water it for you. And all these great fruits and vegetables that we talked about today, ranging from the tomato to the onion to the different squash, zucchini, peppers, as well as all of the herbs, are great, healthy food options that can be used in salads, different stir fries, as well as smoothies. And they provide great snacks for people of all ages. And I hope everyone enjoyed today's lesson. All of the fruits and vegetables that we talked about today, as you can see, are all excellent sources of different types of vitamins and minerals, which are really important for our bodies. It's important that we always get a variety of whole fruits and vegetables. They're all very rich in fiber, which is great for cellular growth, metabolism, as well as lowering cholesterol and blood pressure. So I hope that this gardening session was educational and fun, and that you guys can all practice this at home and hopefully have a great harvest. Thank you.